Well, it all comes down to this. It's a simple scenario to get the 1 seed, and that's what's most at hand. How does it happen? Where's Pat, and who's going to help protect him tonight? Live with your questions here on RGR Football. Welcome in, everybody. It's another day, the day before Christmas. It's been it's been a harrowing one, I have to say. But Dan, nice to see you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join after the game on Saturday, guys. I've got lots of thoughts, and I'm excited to be here. Obviously, every Monday is always fun, and I'm hopeful you guys are feeling more relieved after that game, because I surely am. And just a little tidbit of information: the last 3 games the Chiefs have played have been some of their best DVOA single game performances of the season. The last 3 games, and last week's Saturday was their best of the season. So it's clear things are starting to turn in the right direction.
I like that plan. Folks, like, sub, hit the bell, join us. If you see us tonight and you don't know who we are, he's Dan Harms over there. Sorry. I'm Ryan Tracy.
I'm over here.
Along with Gary, we run this channel. Excuse me. And this is what we do every Monday night. We answer your questions. You guys run the show. We just provide the content, to tell you the truth. So if you want your question answered, feel free to leave a super chat. Every super chat gets answered tonight. If you have a topic in mind, throw it in the group chat, and we'll try to address all the different topics. I do want to give you a couple of minutes, because like you said, you didn't get to react for us specifically to the game. So overview, takeaway, or anything specific that you want to get at.
This offense is ready. It's ready. They scored 27 points, should have been far more, and you had some penalties here and there, but I never felt like they were out of sync. I never really felt that. A couple times here and there, Patrick threw into the dirt on Hollywood Brown. You have a miscommunication between him and Kelce, but for the most part, everything was pretty good. And when you have that kind of injection with Hollywood Brown, who comes in, plays 20 snaps for you, gets 5 targets, there are things that they clearly were like, we need this player because we can actually execute our offense. And it looked really good with him, Xavier, and DeAndre Hopkins. And that's going to be your 3 main wide receivers. Xavier Worthy is figuring it out, folks. I don't know if you guys have watched. I posted a clip on Twitter of him just toasting and roasting one of the best corners in the NFL, Derek Stingley, on a nice little, like, I don't really know the word for it. It's an eventual comeback route, but he angles out, sells upfield, clears Derek Stingley, and then breaks off and comes back, and he's got like 5 yards of separation. He's figuring it out, and that's scary for a guy who's playing as unselfish as he is. So it hurts to lose Chris Jones possibly for this week, but at the end of the day, if his ankle, if he has a hair out of place on his thigh or on his calf, you just don't play him for this week and say, hey buddy, you have 10 days off, go ahead and rest up, we need you for the postseason. So I'm pretty excited about what it's going to look like going forward.
Yeah, I have to tell you that was my big takeaway as well. We want to know yours. Put your comments and your thoughts into the chat. We'll make sure that we get to them. We're going to get right after it because you guys are running this thing. Micah hits us first. Zup, any reason why the Chiefs haven't worn all red this year? I don't think. Do you think that Clark would allow an all red in the playoff game or the Super Bowl? I think he certainly would. I wonder if the league wants to stay away from that. Usually the alternate unis, they don't use in the postseason, but you never know. Maybe they're saving it for this run.
Maybe. I don't know. Personally, no offense, Mike, I don't really pay attention to any of the jersey stuff. I just don't personally care, but I don't think that there's a situation that wouldn't allow them to wear that if they wanted to.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Micah's got a few who are going to start us off. FS1, first things first show. Some stats from the last 5 games show how the Ravens defense is improving significantly. What have you all observed? They're playing more physical and they're playing more confidently. They know where their limitations are. I watched this last ball game and I clearly saw a team that is much different than we saw earlier in the season. But it's also one that, as far as it's come, still has its mechanical weaknesses. Are they doing the little things right? Are they playing maybe above the rim for themselves? Yes. But I do think that they can still be had.
Yeah, that it all comes down to situation and how you play against this certain team. I think with this offensive group right now, the Chiefs offenses, the wide receivers are playing better. They're going to play well, but the Ravens are, like you said, they're starting to play more physical, and it feels like they're kind of letting their corners be who they are. Nate Wiggins is a man guy. He loves playing man. He's physical. He's got that change of direction, the ability to keep up with anybody he needs to. And their corners, Brandon Stevens and some of the other, Marlon Humphrey, have been just allowed to kind of be more physical. Earlier in the season, it felt like they were trying to communicate some things and figure out what their best, strengths and weaknesses were, and they were getting beat downfield a lot. Now it feels like they're thinking less. Maybe they streamlined their defense a little bit, and you don't have as much communication in terms of changing and switching and things like that. So maybe that's just kind of how it's gone. I haven't watched them in depth enough to know, but I do know, like Ryan said, they're playing far more physically.
And that's something that we do have to watch out for. In the end, the Chiefs are who they are, and a little bit more on the finesse side than the other, but that's all right. Steve, thank you. One of our member questions. If you guys want it in the memberships, the join button's down there underneath Dan. You should have already gotten my notes from the last ball game. They are out in the members section. You can have them typos and all, but they're there, as well as all the extra content that we do ends up going over there as well. Suppose Nick Bolton realigns the defense on a certain play. How is that communicated from the defensive line to the linebackers to the secondary? Well, it's two sets of calls, really. The shell, the guys that are in the defensive backfield, are going to communicate to themselves. Now, if Nick makes some kind of significant call where he's pulling someone down, he would have to turn around and shout to him. But for the offensive line, for the defensive line, you're going to have calls straight at them. And you'll notice a lot of defensive linemen, when they're getting ready to get in their stance, they're kind of half-cocked. So one of their ear holes is back to the linebacker level so they can communicate. But late changes do happen. That's why you're going to see him run up and pat dude on one side of the butt or the other, and that's the way he's going to shift. So that's the basic of it.
Exactly. Like it's and you still have like some of the safeties will make their own calls too. And it's not always like the linebackers making a call for everybody. A lot of times it's just for the front seven. And then the secondary changes based off of what Spags has them doing. And it's more of a linebacker downside scenario.
And that's one of the tough things about Spags. And we always talk about how they start slow and they come on. That's one of the reasons why, because the expectation in Spags system is that everybody sees the same thing and makes the same adjustment. The only time you should have to really shout things out is if somebody doesn't see it. So if the wide corner sees something that he recognizes the far right corner or the side corner probably isn't going to see, you got to communicate there. The defensive linemen aren't going to hear the safeties most of the time, but that's why you call them field generals, because it should come top to front, meet at the linebacker level, and everybody should be on the same page. Knock on wood. Thanks, Steve. Great question. Why does Micah special? Why does Spags allow wide receivers and tight ends like Tank Dell and Bowers to get hot instead of double teaming them, bracketing or traveling McDuffie? Well, I will tell you, because they were more scared of Nico Collins. That's why McDuffie was on him the bulk of the day. And they don't want to let the offense dictate to them the matchups. So they're going to play it how they have to play it. And if they have to rotate over the top with safety coverage, they'll do that. If they have to change something else, I feel like Spags just wants to be like, you know what? We'll roll with whatever changes, and I trust my guys.
You also have to remember that unless you get perfectly thrown footballs from CJ Stroud in multiple scenarios, guys are going to make plays on those. Like the touchdown to Tank Dell probably doesn't happen if it's not a perfect throw. It was a perfect throw. You couldn't really have defended it any better unless you're inside, like on top of Tank Dell. Tank Dell's fast. It's hard to stay on top of him. And the Chiefs don't have fast safeties. They don't have those kind of speed guys. So you have to remember, like Ryan said, they want to play their game. They aren't going to let anybody bully them out of it. They aren't going to do anything like that. So if it comes down to me versus you, Spags is going to either turn the pressure up, or he's going to find a way to isolate Chris Jones one-on-one and say, fine, see if you can get the ball out in time.
Right. There's a counter to everything that they do. I do think that sometimes they can change some coverages. That touchdown to Dell, and I hear it's an ACL and the dislocated kneecap, so significant for Tank Dell. I do like the guy. It's just hard with that body to make it in this league. Ask Calvin Austin and a number of other guys that are of that size, and that's why there was concern about X, right? X is holding up remarkably well so far. But I do think that touchdown is not a touchdown if they're actually impressed, because I think the timing gets disrupted and delayed enough that he can't deliver it as perfectly as he did. So there is something to say about that.
a couple of times I felt like they could have pressed when they didn't. I'm just like, why aren't you doing that? Especially because the ball's coming out so quick.
Mhm.
Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more.
I completely agree. That's how you can attack that timing. Minotaur, nice to see you, buddy. 4.5 years in the memberships. You're one of the reasons we keep going, and thank you. I know there's something else special from you here in a couple of minutes. I hate to speculate given the circumstance, but how dominant will this offense look next year with Rasheed and Worthy and hopefully Hollywood and D-Hop? Good to see y'all. I'll let you start with this one.
So I think 3 out of 4 is what you're looking at. I'm not sure you're going to get all 4, but if you did, that'd be fantastic. But I'm leaning 3 out of 4, and I think regardless of who it is, that is a very good place to start. And then you can just say, all right, Justin, you've done great things for us. We'll see you later. Juju, thank you very much for the time. Bye. And we're going to draft another young receiver because there's a question in here coming up a little bit, which we are going to address. And we're going to allow some things to happen that shouldn't typically, that weren't being thought of and at this point last year. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you draft another young receiver and then you just start churning it. You go back to the well next year with those receivers and you do what you can. And then you start, maybe one goes away, bring in the other guy, and then you draft another young receiver. That's how the pipeline starts. And I think that you got 2 young, really good receivers and Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, and you're going to hopefully be able to do more with them next year.
I will augment you only in this way, and that is not to disagree with you, but I want 4 out of 4, and I think they probably need it because we do have to remember Rashee Rice will miss games. We don't know how much. We don't know how long. We don't know if it's early or late or whatever. So I'm sure with Hollywood, even with an explosive postseason, I don't think he's going to get like a blockbuster deal, right? Like I think he'll have a chance to come back at a reasonable deal, much like this one. Hopefully 2 years instead of 1, whatever. I think the only thing that you got to work on is Hop. And I think if he gets a taste of the postseason for what has been a very long time for him, God forbid they get to the Super Bowl, I think you should be able to sell him on that. The guy doesn't need any more money at his point in his career. He's made quite a lot of earnings. I think it's a possibility, and that's what I would be pushing for. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear. I'm not going to assume that Rashee Rice is going to miss time next year. I'm not going to assume anything at this point because we have not heard anything. Nothing. Nada. So I'll wait.
Okay. Fair enough. You will be the cautious, and I like that. Usually that's me. I love this. Right. Even when Doinked for the division was canned, not because of Butker being back, but of his no black cleats. But seriously, why hush info on Butker's progress? Just because they don't want to give anything away. I know he's still going through that mechanical thing. I'm not sure why they would hold stuff back, but as for the rest of it, yes, I can see the LOL. I can't make it come through on the screen, but I get that you're joking now because I was like, huh? I wouldn't think so. Black cleats didn't do it.
No, they couldn't have done that. I'm still a little shocked it wasn't just one extra game. One extra game.
I kind of am too.
And then you let him ride off. You know, I don't know. It was a little weird.
At the end of the day, you got too many kickers if you have more than one kicker. That's kind of bottom line. Let's see. Mason, thank you, buddy. I think we owe an apology to Connor Embry. He got a lot of crap last year thanks to MVS, Tony, and Sky. The development of Worthy and Rice from year 1 to year 2 has been impressive. And that is absolutely true, except for the fact that that's still less than the majority of the prospects. So I'm not going to rush to say, I will say maybe Embry is doing a better job than he wants, but I won't say that he's doing an excellent job because 2 guys made it. Because there's a lot more development that was not done. So I'm not there yet. You?
Well, Connor Embry, this is the second year as the wide receiver coach. Mm-hmm. He wasn't there he wasn't the wide receiver coach when Sky Moore was drafted. That wasn't the case. And sometimes players just don't work out. Sometimes they just don't. Although Tony's a head case. MVS just isn't good. Unless apparently he's got Derek Carr throwing him the football.
Evidently.
I'm fully prepared to think that this is a realistic scenario. You got 2 different skill sets in Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, and they both look very, very good. And we knew that Xavier was going to need just a little bit of development in terms of his play style and learning the entire offense from the midpoint of the season maybe around week 8 to now, drastic changes. He's confident. He's playing with better timing, better pacing. His routes are crisp. I mean, there's at least half an apology owed, in my opinion, from everything that was said. My part too, I tweeted it out a couple of days ago. I believe that there should be a little bit of apology there, Mason. I agree with you.
I'm more likely to give credit to Ryan Nutt for drafting 2 guys that actually are that guy. So that's just me. We'll see. I'll turn it around eventually if it proves it to me a little bit more. Terry, do you think that we leave Tooney at left tackle or we bring Humphries back in? Humphries plays if he's ready to roll. That's bottom line. I don't see it any other way. Do you?
I still think that Joe might be the best left tackle for the rest of the season, even if Humphries gets quote unquote healthy. The problem comes down to how much is the drop off from Tooney to Humphries that we see from Tooney to Caliendo. That's the big thing here, because I think that what we've seen out of Joe Tooney the last 2 weeks has been better tackle play than we have seen in a good long time, which is a hard thing to say because he's a guard and he's coming off of an injury. Yep. And so you see that and you're just like, well, that's awesome. But the simple fact of the matter is that if Humphries is fully healthy, ready to go, Joe provides a much better run blocking upside and floor than Caliendo brings, and you can actually run to the left side now. We've seen every good run that they've had over the last 2 weeks has been to the right side, every single one. So there's a weak spot there, and you got to be able to manufacture actual offense to the left side. And if Joe's ready to go back inside, which I guarantee you, he's like, please help me out. DJ, I'm doing the best I can here. Please, I'm a guard. I'm doing everything I got. And he's doing a fantastic job, honestly. But when Humphries is ready to go, it should be him back at left tackle.
Yeah. And specifically on their D-line, I don't know if there's a question for it or if I'm just making it up in my head, but their D-line is good in Pittsburgh. Yeah. It's not just TJ. There's Alex on the other side, Alex Highsmith. You have Keanu Benton, who I think has been playing better of late, and Cam Hayward's going to go. I mean,
Cam Hayward he's turned back the clock again. He's playing fantastic football this year, and I don't like that matchup with Caliendo and him because you want to know who's going to be lined up against him all game long. It's going to be him.
Yeah, and that's what this comes down to is your best 5 need to play. Your best 5 are Humphries at tackle and Joe at guard. That's bottom line because you have to defend that entire front. And they're going to get overly aggressive because they've seen the Chiefs have a couple of problems with some twists, a couple of overload blitzes that they haven't been able to handle. So you're going to get pressure. And then you got to have your, I think, most experienced guys out there if you can. Thank you, Jerry. Michael, another good one. Play Patrick versus Donks after Pitt win to build chemistry with Hollywood and the others. Yeah, but here's the thing, and I'm really surprised that no one has been talking about this, at least not that I've seen in the Kansas City media. They only have to win 1 game. They have 2 games remaining. They just have to win 1. That's it. So, like, I'm surprised that people aren't talking about the clinch thing here a whole lot more because I don't care how good the Bills look. Chiefs win this game against Pittsburgh. Everybody take the week off. That's more important than the chemistry part, Michael, in my opinion. I see what you mean about, especially with Hollywood just getting back. But for me, I would still take the rest over the reps.
They need the rest more, in my opinion, too. Like, that's what they need with this season and the games they've played the last 3 years, 6 years, however you want to slice it. They need more rest. So I would love to get some more chemistry with Hollywood, but from what I watched, seems like they're in a pretty good spot, even without the extra reps on one of these games that they play.
It's like they spent the whole spring and summer together or something. I don't know.
Remember we talked about the importance of training camp? Those are paying off right now.
Right. You ain't kidding. Dang. Minotaur, thank you again. And for those 5 of you who just got free memberships, you can thank Mr. Minotaur. Always growing Rogue Nation. That is our member group, as well as the name of our members only Discord. So get over there, check that out. You got in for free at the bottom level. You go up to rookie, you can get the Discord and the notes and the whole 9 yards and all the extra content. Thank you, Minotaur. Growing the brand. You're the man, buddy. Appreciate you. Bradley, nice to see you. So, Dan, what do you think of how the offensive game plan went?
Yeah, I really do think that Joe played fantastic football, but they did a really nice job of moving Patrick around. Patrick played fantastic football. You want to know why? He was comfortable and sound in the pocket. He stepped up. He didn't jump out of the pocket. He wasn't leaving clean pockets. He was just managing it. Want to know what happened last year when Patrick just managed the pocket? They won a Super Bowl. You guys, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And the injury stuff is like, okay, well, like Ryan mentioned it on the game plan show last week, how when he's injured, everything kind of comes down and he starts thinking straight. Like he has to worry less about running out, making things happen. He can just kind of flow, stay in the pocket, and that's exactly how it looked. It looked really good. I'm excited.
I am too. I got to tell you, I'm pretty pumped about it. Thanks, Bradley. And Josh, you had the question I was talking about: the O line versus Pitt's D line. What else do you think? And what do you think about the right hand side of the O line?
I mean, honestly, I don't. We still see was it limited practice today from Juwan Taylor, and I'll be honest, Wanya looked pretty good at right tackle. Shocking, right? I know he played left. I know I got this on my post. Like I posted on Twitter. I was like, people kind of forget he played right tackle. Everyone's like, yeah, he played left tackle first. I'm like, did he look good at left tackle? Did he come out as a right tackle? No, he looked pretty bad at left tackle. Right? And he moved to right. He's like, oh, we have a draftable prospect. Someone we can draft in the 3rd round here. Okay. And he moves over to the right. And no, it all looks very comfortable. He looked really good at right tackle. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying. I'm just shooting here. Maybe, just maybe, Wanya Morris can play right tackle this week if Juwan is not fully ready to go, and he can be your backup.
Yes. And if he has to, he's certainly, I agree with you, comfortable over there and can be the backup. They are going to throw waves at him. Yes, you're going to have TJ. TJ's not going to miss this game. He played 24 snaps last week. I know his ankle's not 100%, just like Chris's calf isn't, but he's going to play. Alex Highsmith is just as good, if not better, right now because he's not getting as much double team attention. And then the guy that just makes plays, the guy who I don't think he played, he got like 5 rushes last week. Nick Herbig will come in and can get some things done too, especially if you underestimate his rush. He's kind of a funky dude, in my opinion. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it coming out, but he is working in that system in Pittsburgh, and he can be that 3rd pass rusher for them.
He is a pure pass rusher. In that class, I'd said that he had maybe the best moves of any pass rusher in the class, and he's showing it. And great job, Pittsburgh. They continue to just draft players that turn into fantastic pass rushers, and it's unfortunate, but you have to do that.
It pisses me off, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Josh. Minotaur, thank you for the super chat and for the message. Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you very much. I hope you all spent some good time with your family and friends. We definitely will. We will have an abbreviated post-game show for you. Don't worry. We'll always give you a little bit. So hopefully we get to spend some time with your family too. Throw it on the TV tomorrow. I swear I won't cuss. It'll be fine. And we'll all do it. And then we're heading to see Dad and the whole 9 yards. So it's going to be a family affair, but it'll be a little bit abbreviated for the family time. So thank you for that message. And thank you, Minotaur, for your support as always, buddy. Corey, do you guys still believe Kelce can turn it on come playoff time? He looks so slow, and the miscues with PM are aplenty. Am I being too harsh? What say you?
No, Travis can't make anyone miss right now. He absolutely can't. But yes, when come playoff time, I think you'll see a different player. And I think what we've also seen is that where's the need for Travis Kelce? Where's the need? They're 14-1. They don't need him.
They're getting by.
They don't need him. And they also understand that. Like he's getting his targets, some targets here and there, but they also have new receivers coming into the fold. 3 guys that are now your starting wide receivers were not on this team last year. Do you think Travis Kelce needs run more, or do you think those guys need run more? Those guys need run more, just like Xavier did earlier, just like DeAndre did when he came over. So Travis has to take the step back. Noah Gray. Why do you need to force it to Travis Kelce if you've got guys like Noah Gray stepping up and all these other guys that need run in the offense? So I think that come crunch time, like if it's got to have it in the postseason, Travis going to make something happen. And he and Patrick will be on the same page there. But you're not wrong, but I do think there's another gear he'll take it to.
I agree with you. And I will say this. I don't like the whole do just enough to get W's. It just drives me nuts. But I also, when I look at the film, and I haven't done as much film this year as you have, specifically on Travis, but except for the Chargers, I feel like he hasn't been getting roughed up as much. So even though he does look a little slower or whatever, and he's not being as physically assaulted every game, I think the trend allows him to hit that upper gear again once we get to the playoffs. So I got my fingers crossed.
Just wait if they get the bye week and he gets 2 weeks off. He's going to come to that divisional game and he's going to be fresh.
Yeah, boy. I am here for that. So thank you, Corey. Thank you very much. It's a great topic. Jason, do you think that the defense is a little bit better now that they are playing a true nickel corner over a safety that was Chamari Connor? I mean, honestly, I think you're hitting it on the nose. Now, we know Chamari could play nickel in college. Playing in the NFL is a little bit different, and I think he did get exposed. Still love him in space, though, and I'm waiting for them, once he gets back, hopefully, to do the thing they did with Tyron, where his responsibility was that gap. So you weren't running Tampa 2 where the backers got to cover in the middle. You're bringing the safety over. And I think, like he's had a couple of interceptions already this year, I think he's the guy in space that's one of the knacks for him. He and Jaden in the future are going to be pretty dang good at that, and they're going to be celebrating a lot of interceptions, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what you want them to do, right? But what we saw from Chris Roland Wallace, and honestly, they're getting Trent McDuffie more involved in the slot. I think Josh Williams getting his confidence, along with Najee Johnson playing fine, has helped them funnel in Trent McDuffie in the slot a little bit at times. And I like what they did there. But CRW gives them something that they don't really have outside of Trent McDuffie, and someone who can just play nickel and just say, also, he is fearless in the run game. He does not care. He throws his body around. He will try to forklift offensive linemen. He does not care. I love that about him. And that's that kind of UDFA mentality that he brings. He's got the short area quickness. He can cover underneath, and he is willing to do whatever it takes to prove himself. And we've seen it. So I like it. When you have that rotation with Chamari Connor and CRW, Trent McDuffie, it helps a lot. But we're seeing a little bit more from the slot position or the nickel role with him in there that we weren't seeing before.
Yeah. Hey, and Hines Ward made a life out of it, right? Of having that edge and that attitude. So more power to him. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you. Hanneman, nice to see you. Channeman, Hanneman, K. I'm just going to go K. How do we attack the Steelers without CJ, especially if Pickens plays? Do we consider moving Hicks to inside linebacker on Thursday? I wonder if Spags is cooking for this game. I would not move Hicks. The lack of CJ doesn't make you replace a linebacker. I think that's putting too many people out of position, to tell you the truth. I think what you have to do is you have to start sending. There's a difference between mugging and showing them you might be coming and actually cramming Leo down their throats in the A gap. That's a much, much different thing. Ask Russ. His eyes will tell you the truth.
We'll find out. I always knew that Pickens was playing in this game. When he didn't play 2 weeks ago, I'm like, he's not going to play this next week either. He's going to play against the Chiefs. That's what it is. That's what they want. They want to be able to try to be able to maybe get the 1 seed, which I think is still in play if the Chiefs lose out. So I don't know. I think that they're going to be just fine. And in terms of manufacturing stuff, you might see more Charles Omenihu on the inside. You might see a little bit more of just kind of rotating guys in there. And that's the key, right? When you don't have one player, you have to rotate in. When it's as big of a person as Chris Jones, other players are going to have to step up. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we can put George Karlaftis on the inside a little bit. I don't know. Just if he plays as fast as he something
done, right?
Maybe. And maybe if he plays as fast as he did 2 weeks ago. I mean, he was pretty quick. He was moving. So, yeah, I think they'll figure it out.
I can get down with that. They still got my guy, Broderick Jones, over at right tackle. And he's not come along in their system as fast as I think he would have come along in this one. So I do think they can get some overloads on that side, to tell you the truth, and try to attack them a little bit. So I think they can compensate for it. I'm a little bit more worried about the run game, just because it means Mike Pennell's going to have to play a few more downs. And I like Mike Fresh. So let's try to keep it that way. Derelict, thank you. Who do you think deserves the MVP, and why do you rightfully believe Pat should be in the convo? Oh, you're talking about the league, not the team. Okay.
Yeah, he's talking about the league. I did see that Seth tweeted about that earlier today. No offense to Patrick Mahomes. No, because this award is purely stats based. Okay, I know everyone wants to say it's not, but it really is. That's what it is. You have to be winning and have the stats. Pat just doesn't have them. Okay, in my opinion, it should be Saquon Barkley. Saquon should win the MVP. And Josh Allen has done a great job this year. Lamar Jackson also has. What Saquon Barkley is doing is almost unparalleled from what we have seen in the running back position over time. The last one to win it was Adrian Peterson, but I think we are seeing that Saquon is rivaling the numbers that he put up, also adding more as a receiver than Peterson ever could have been. So for me, it's Saquon Barkley.
That is a fair argument. I like to see the running back position get some talent. I just feel like Lamar's had a better season overall. I mean, he's pushing 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns. Like you said, it is a stat-based award. I don't know, but I do agree with you that I don't think Pat's season has been what it needs to be in that convo. And I'm happy for it because we don't need the drama.
Yeah.
We need him focused on a nice, clean postseason run, right to when that confetti falls again. That's all we care about. And it's all he cares about. So let's go get it. Justin, I learned that the rest of the league still hasn't learned to not poke the bear. I'm glad that you're learning these lessons for us, Justin, and spreading them around the world. I very much appreciate you. At the end of the day,
awesome.
You can shore things up enough, and Pat in particular is viable enough to make a lot of these things go away with just a mild improvement. And I do think that's what we've seen from Joe, and I think it'll get better with Humphreys, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm with
buddy.
you. And just to point out, thank you, KY, for saying that, because cool, they're not in play. So whatever. Regardless, I still figured Pickens was going to play. And Michael, you're right. He doesn't have to break the record though to get MVP. That's kind of my point. Is more rivaling the numbers. Just be close to that, which is something he's going to be at the end of the season, especially with his receiving numbers. Granted, they're not as big as they could be somewhere else because the Jalen Hurts doesn't like check the ball down. So,
I mean, but kudos to him. It's been, like you said, a very long time since there was a legitimate running back in the conversation. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Folks, I do want to say, please check out our friends over at BetUS. They help us so that we can help you and we can do all this stuff in the business together. It goes a long way. You can do that right here.
The best way to get into the action is with BetUS and their deal with code YouTube150. You can start playing today with that exclusive offer. You can get into all the football that you want, whether it's this week's matchup for the Chiefs, whether it's getting into the season-long odds against Super Bowl, against the division. The Chiefs are heavily favored in a lot of those, but there are plenty of bets to be made. And you can do it all at BetUS, where you can get 150% of your deposit bonus up to 3 times and up to 2,000. Use YouTube 150 today at BetUS.
I appreciate everyone's help, and thank you guys for being here. You're running the show. Like, sub, hit the bell. I know you're in the conversation, so we're going to get back to it. We do have a number of super chats left to get to, so we are not going to be bashful here. So, Jeremy, is Andy actually starting to care about games? Have the playoffs essentially started? That's a great way to put it. How would you put it?
I think they're starting to utilize some of the things that they're going to use in the postseason. They added the little short motions on the offense this last week. It's just they're not the ones that you motion out into a bunch. It's just slight. So it's a little tiny motion. Like there was a Noah Gray one, there was a Hollywood Brown one, just little tiny things just to trying to switch communication, right? They're just trying to force the defense to have to think really quickly before the snap. That's something that Miami introduced, I believe it was a year or two ago, but they're doing it a little bit more, something that they didn't really do a lot over the last 2 years. They're starting to implement that a little bit more too. So I think he's starting to just kind of show, oh, hey guys, we got this a little bit. Oh, we got a little bit of this. So every time you put something new on tape, it's just a little bit, just a little taste of something. How Emer Lagasse used to just be like putting seasonings into his stuff and say, bam. Andy Reid is like, bam. And bam. Just a little bit here and there.
Damn. Oh, I hope Elmeril sees that someday. Well done. Well done. I love when you bring the food in. Jeremy, thank you for the question. I wouldn't say the playoffs have essentially started, but the warm-ups for the playoffs have. This is where they're like, oh, we just got about 12 quarters left to go. Let's get ready. And so they start to turn it up. And it's the thing that we bitch about all season long until they get to this point. They're like, oh, yeah, they still can't flip the switch. We've just been crying about it for 12 weeks. That's the way my life goes. Apologies. Donnie, been here a long time. Thank you, $2
Thank you,
Donnie.
Donnie.
Donnie knows that I have a type, and he's baiting me into this. So I have not done the film. I just enjoy the man's work when I watch him live. Dan knows, is this legitimate?
I love Scadaboo. He doesn't fit for this offense for me right now, especially if you're going to keep either Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco for a little while. They need a dynamic running back. Scadaboo is a fantastic contact balance. He's got better vision than Pacheco. He creates good angles for himself, but he's not explosive. He's not a dynamic athlete. And I think that you can't run outside with him in the NFL. I don't think that's a part of his game at this level. So for me, it's no. But if they went ahead and drafted him, brought somebody else in that's dynamic and pair with him and said, love what you did for us, Isaiah, but we're not going to bring you back. Okay.
Let me flip it on you, because I have the same concerns. Would you put Henderson in this offense from Ohio State?
Yes, I would. I absolutely would. Especially because the way he looks this year, he looks much closer to the player that he was 2 seasons ago before he tore his ACL or the injury. So yeah, I absolutely would.
Apologies, folks. Evidently, my children are home, and I forgot to shut off that alarm. So, yeah, I completely agree with you, and I like the concept of a quick hitter, a guy that can hit that top gear and just take it. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you, Donnie. Cody, nice to see you, bud. I was at the game on Saturday, and Hollywood and X flashed like crazy in person. Kareem just seemed to see all the holes. Thoughts from all 22? Have you gotten into it already?
A little bit on the offense, yeah. This last week for Isaiah was rough. He missed a lot of holes. And for everything that Kareem Hunt is at this point, which is, again, not very explosive, not dynamic, he looks pretty slow. He looks much faster when he's hitting an open hole. I'll tell you that much, because you can have 4.3 speed all you want, but if you're just hitting back into an offensive lineman every single time, you can't get to your speed. So I love the energy that he brings. He's going to hit big runs for you. But right now, short yardage and playing a little bit more, I think Kareem Hunt needs to be your guy. And in terms of salting the game away, scoring those touchdowns, and trying to get fourth and shorts.
Yeah. The fourth down in particular was one that Isaiah just missed a free path to the first down. It was just, it's a limitation of his. You love how he runs, but it is a limitation. Thank you, Cody. Good points. Perry, thank you, bud. How would Restrepo from Miami fit in the offense? You tell me.
Love Xavier Restrepo. This guy is a get open. He's not the athlete that Ricky Pearsall is. Plays the same way, but he's more of a pure slot. He's not going to be doing a ton after the catch in the NFL. He's got some quick moves right after. He does catch to attack very well. He understands space, but he is a guy who understands leverage, can get open, and just be that quick hitter for you in an offense that might be without someone who can do that in the next couple of seasons. And it would be a nice little fill-in, more of a third, fourth receiver or fourth option in your offense.
I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you, Perry, for the question. I hadn't even seen him yet, so you're way ahead of me, pal. Dub Freak, thank you, buddy. As always, we appreciate the support. Nice to see you from across the pond. Being Mr. Uninformed here, but with another signing on the practice squad, assuming for depth next year, are they going to affect the cap for next year by re-signing the first team players? The cap hit for a practice squatter is always this year, so it doesn't affect next year at all. You'll have to re-sign them to futures contracts in the off season if you want them back. So it doesn't preclude anything. And yes, for all those that they want back, they're going to have to sign their top tier guys right away. Honestly, like they've started talking about it with the agents. They'll talk with the players the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like it. He knows more than I do about this stuff.
It's got to be done. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge. But don't worry about the practice squatters. That is just solely a right now kind of problem. Thank you, Dub Freak, and for all your support over the years. Very happy to see you and proud to have it. Thank you. CJ misses any significant time in the playoffs. What are the ripple down effects? Can Spags adjust or cover up? He can, but that only works for so long. If you have to send blitzes to get pressure, you will get got eventually, especially against a Josh Allen. That's just a recipe to lose. I don't think he misses significant time. If they choose not to play him this week or to the playoffs, I've seen some conflicting opinions. I don't think that's anything other than a vote of confidence that, hey, Chris, we feel we can get this 1 seed and we don't have to have you. But in the playoffs, we want everything you got. So I think that's more caution than anything.
Yeah, for me, it's the same way. Again, like I said earlier, if he's got a hair out of place on his calf, he just kind of twinged the muscle a little bit. Let him take a day off. Let him take a game off. Just make sure he's ready. But I think it's more of a ripple up effect, right? You don't have Jalen Watson this year. That's the big ripple effect. Because if you had him, you could say, all right, the coverage has been good. So we have to manufacture a pass rush. Something we haven't been able to do this season without Chris Jones. It's trying to figure that out. But without that and some of the coverage issues you've had, specifically the linebacker and then the second corner spot, that's when it becomes really tough to be able to do it. And you might have to actually blitz less, if it's as crazy as it sounds, and just hope that you can get some spots figured out. Guys can play a little bit better, and hopefully you get maybe more one-on-ones by natural selection anyway, and Charles Omenihu can just be better.
I like that natural selection. Thank you, Michael. We're going to speed up a little bit, folks. We're going to try to be done here in a few minutes just for timing with what's going on here at the house. So I appreciate you guys. Now that Hollywood is back, do you see the offense running more 4 and 5 wide sets? Go Chiefs. Good question, Cody. What do you think, Dan?
They actually are starting to run a little bit more empty sets. They did last week and the week before. Patrick seems more comfortable. It helps him get the ball out quicker, especially with the offensive line. So I do think you're going to see some of that as well. But overall, it won't be like a huge amount. It'll just kind of be sprinkling in, especially with maybe if DJ Humphries comes back to get him more acclimated.
Yeah, I agree. They want to get to 4 verts, though, with Travis or not. They want to get to it. It is a staple that Patrick misses. So I think they will get there. Michael, thank you again. Appreciate you. Is Caliendo and Wanya sustainable throughout the playoffs versus top lines? What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is that you have to play both those guys. I don't know if it could get worse than that unless Joe were then to get injured and you got to play Kingsley on one side and Wanya on the other. Then you're in trouble. And I don't know, maybe Ethan comes into that scenario. I don't think so. I could be wrong. But I think you nailed it, Michael. That is the worst case scenario right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with that.
Let's
appreciate the 5, Michael.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. Michael, nice to see you. Thoughts on why we still struggle with 3 and 4 in short yardage? Why not use Wentz for QB sneaks? Are we saving it for postseason? What do you think?
No, they're not saving it for the postseason. They just don't practice quarterback sneaks. And for a team that doesn't utilize them, doesn't practice them, it's all based off of timing. The reason that the Eagles are so good at it, because they have it down to a science. It's so tough to defeat. The Chiefs don't practice. If you go out there and line up Carson Wentz with a team that doesn't practice, they're going to get their asses blown off the ball, and they're going to lose those situations anyway. So they're not going to. They struggle with it because they don't have a running back right now, unless they put Kareem Hunt out there more significantly on those 3rd and shorts that can see the holes as they unfold.
Check out the Dockster and listen to me, guys. If you would hit the like button, we appreciate it. Michael, thank you for that question. It's a good one. And I will just add this too. If you go back and you listen to what Jason Kelce has to say about their sneaks, like that is timed to the second. And it has to be a guy with a much lower center of gravity than Creed Humphrey plays. Creed plays a little bit more up than Jason ever did. So getting that submarine action is a lot harder for him, in my opinion. Trey's super tall as well. You got to get good push from both your guards. It is just a more difficult thing for them to do than it is for the Eagles offensive line, especially when Kelce was there.
Jason Kelce was a great athlete, and he was a bit smaller. He could get his leverage. He played with better leverage than any center maybe in the history of the NFL. Creed is I'm more powerful than you. I can torque you out of the way. I have better hands than you do. I can do whatever I need to. And that's pretty much why you see some of that initial pushback.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, guys. Appreciate both of you. Zach, what positions are you filling in the draft if you're the GM? All of them.
Hey, guys, just as many as you possibly can. Corner, running back is going to be, I think, one that they have to go for maybe day 2, early day 3. Defensive tackle, offensive
Yes.
line, but basically the trenches still, like they have trenches is going to be a thing. I know everyone's saying draft a left tackle, draft a left tackle. I'm still thinking Kingsley's going to be okay in terms of future prospects. And we both believe that Wanya Morris is going to be the right tackle of the future. So maybe they're going to be decently okay at tackle, but you still should draft some swing guys, some interior guys. If you can't bring Trey Smith back, the future of, Joe Tooney. Granted, Caliendo's playing good football, so who knows?
Sure. And you have Norzad. I'm excited to see him.
True.
So I think they have that kind of
Yeah.
pipeline built.
Yeah.
You nailed the big one for me. Yes, you need a corner. You're going to restock wide receiver yet again. Yes, you're going to keep the pipeline building. It's defensive tackle. Pass rushing defensive tackle in particular is the one that I think that they got to fill. And I can't say his name right. Is it Tyleek? I'm not sure.
Tyleek Williams.
Ohio State. Yeah, played the other night. Like, I like his game. He's got both size and power, and he can get into the backfield. So, like, he's a guy that I'd be looking at long and hard. I don't know if you think he's going to make it to 30
man after my own heart. He'd have to go in the second round. I don't think he's a first round player, but then the Chiefs might have to trade up. They've won him in the second round.
Okay, fair enough. So they could trade back pretty evenly and have a couple of picks. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Folks, we're forming the draft plan right now. So just stay tuned for the next 6 months. We'll get you there. Thank you, Zach. We appreciate you. Dante, can we talk about third down on both sides of the ball? Needs to be addressed. Sure, we can talk about it.
I got some numbers here for you. I looked these up right for you, Dante. So, funny enough, the Chiefs have been called on for penalties on third down 17 times, which is below the NFL average. So, they haven't been very good. Yeah. But we look at the offensive side of the football, and Patrick Mahomes is the second best quarterback in the NFL on third down. And in 7 years, he's never fallen outside of the top 3 on third down. So this offense is also first in the NFL in terms of success percentage on third down at 51%. They're actually very good in third downs on offense because they sustain drives and they go long. They make those long drives. It becomes more exasperated when they go 3 and out. People are thinking like, well, what's going on? What's going on? There's still an excellent offense on third down. Defense, those are more in late game situations. Third downs, and I'm going to take some of the stuff with CJ Stroud out of it. CJ Stroud's very good. He gets the ball out quickly, and so some of the elite level quarterbacks are really tough. But when you can't get immediate pressure on some of those third downs, like the 4-man rush has been pretty bad for the most of the season, that's going to create some of those discrepancies as well. So I don't think it's as bad as the big picture says that it is, but specifically on defense, I think it's worse than it has been in recent years.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely fair. We're going to speed round here, folks. We're going to wrap it up. Last call for super chats. Lontavious, nice to see you back, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Woo. It's been a while since you caught alive. Do you really think that we can grab a Marion Hampton in the late first round or early second? He can take grown man's job, yeah?
Amari Hampton's one of my favorite running backs. Honestly, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. I think I like him better than Ashton Genty. That might be sacrilegious, but I think I do. I don't think the Chiefs should be taking a running back in the second round as much as I love Amari Hampton. It should be in the third round. They have 2 third-round picks. If they're going to do it early, that's when they should do it.
Or the 5th. It'll be fine. Zach, Oregon fan here. Anyone that you would like to see on this team? The running back, he's one of my sleeper guys.
Jordan James
does have that top gear. So I do like that. Who else stood out to me the other day? I'll tell you more after the CFP, but you got a list?
Derek Harmon, defensive tackle. Again, guy lives in the backfield. He's still developing as a player. I like the other defensive tackle, Jamari Caldwell, who's going to be at the Senior Bowl. Really big, 6'6", like 330 pounds. Moves really, really well. And he's got pass rush moves for a really big guy. So he just stood out to me. But those are the defensive guys that I'm looking at. I also love Jabbar Muhammad. He is one of my favorite players in the draft, just bar none. He's small. He's physical. He doesn't have great long speed, but he plays the game the right way, and I love that shit.
What about the receiver? I can't remember his name.
I like I just talked about him today.
Is it Tez? Is it no?
Tez Johnson. I like him. He's so small. He's smaller. And he's smaller and not as fast, not as good as Xavier Worthy. So he's a pure slot only, and I have concerns.
Fair enough. I share them, I'm sure. Zach, thank you for it. Great question, especially early. We appreciate you. Tad, how about Wanya plays right and we rest Taylor? I get where you're coming from. the pass rush from the Steelers is much better than the pass rush from the Broncos. I'm just saying. So I would just, if Taylor can go, put him out there, give Pat the best chance he has to just seal up the first round right now, be done, get the number 1 seed. Everybody take the week off against the Broncos.
I'm with you, man.
Rock and roll.
Appreciate the super chat, Ted.
Yes, thank you, Ted. Love how Trev handed the baton to Gray over the last 2 seasons. How will it affect Wiley? Good question, Michael. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to affect him a ton, mostly because I was never bought it on Wiley anyway. No offense to Jared there, but he's got to develop. And when you miss a season and you're not able to develop for a guy who still needed to develop after 4 years of college football, it becomes tough. I won't lie.
Yeah, agreed. I think he has time to develop there. And I will say, I don't know that they play the same kind of role. So
agreed.
There's enough variety
It's
there
fair.
that I think can get away. I think the guy that Wiley ought to be scared of is Hendershot. He's going to be back from the practice squad injured list right now. So I think Hendershot's got some in him. So we'll see what happens. Could be a very interesting ride at tight end for the next couple of years. Knicks fan, nice to see you, pal.
What up, Nick fan?
And thank you, Michael. MVP Pat coming back into shape. I like the way you're thinking. And he also said, thank you for the super chat, that he loves the way the LT's been playing. And so that brings the question is, do you just leave Joe there? And as much as I want to say yes, it just feels like you're asking him to do stuff he doesn't need to do by leaving him out there against TJ.
Yeah, I'm with you. You don't need to do it. And unless Humphreys is hurt and he can't play in this game, I think the best version of this offensive line is Humphreys at left tackle and Tooney at left guard. But it's really hard to argue with the way that Joe Tooney's playing left tackle right now. He's playing honestly, the best left tackle we've seen all season, bar none.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. All right, let's see here. Thank you, Knicks fan. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you. Ken Hornbuckle, thank you. Will Nelson play? I don't think so right away. I think they're letting him warm up. We got to remember, he's been out of football, like retired for at least 8 months. So I think it's going to take a bit.
I think they said he's going to be active or at least ready to kind of participate a little bit, maybe get his feet wet first.
Okay, cool. I think that's a good plan. And we're going to wrap it up with Jay. Everybody like, sub, hit the bell, get the gear in the gear store. We appreciate you very much. Hope that you're enjoying your Monday, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone.
Absolutely.
Everybody who celebrates everything, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all of it. I hope that you guys are having a good time. Yes, every and all the time. I like holidays. Jay, we're going to answer yours. How do you guys think the running back time split should go in the playoffs between Hunt and Pops? Love the show. Thank you, Jay. We appreciate you. How would you like to see it go?
As close to a 50-50 split as you realistically can get, because you still need Pops his long speed. You still need that, but you have to also not let the defense tee off on 3rd and 4th or short yard situations. If Kareem Hunt comes on the field, you have to mix it up a little bit here and there. So I think as close to a true 50-50 split as you can get.
Yeah, I like that plan. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about pace and getting into a rhythm, and I agree. Running backs need a rhythm. I like the platooning drive by drive. Get them into that rhythm that way, maybe even 2 drives at a time if you feel like you need a little bit more continuity. But I like the concept of splitting it with these guys and saving both of their legs. So that's where we're at tonight. Hope you guys had fun. Thank you for being with us. We will definitely – hey, Lontavius, welcome back in. Nice to see you. I know you've been here before. We're going to have a good time, and we will have content for you. Don't worry. I'll have something small for you tomorrow. It won't be huge. I know everybody's got a lot going on Christmas Eve, and so do I. But we will be live after the game. So make sure that you enjoy your Christmas morning. Watch the game. Watch us after. Spread the joy and the love and the stuff. Spread our GR. We always appreciate that. Dan, from me and my family to you and yours, thank you, and I hope that you have a great Christmas.
The same from mine to yours and everybody else as well, you guys. Please, we wouldn't be here without you, and the fact that we get to do this through the holidays is one of the coolest things that I've ever been able to do, and that's all because of you. So thank you very much. I hope you all have a great holiday, whatever you guys celebrate, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Yes, it's going to be great. I'll have my All I Want for Christmas show tomorrow, so be back here, and we'll catch you guys then. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.